Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. I'm Grace Kelly, founder of City Girl Confidence, and I'm coming to you live today from Puglia, Italy. That's in the sunny southern Italy. So you're in the right place if you have been going around in circles on what it is you would like to do next with your career, on what it is you'd like to offer people with the expertise and the level of experience that you have. If you find yourself constantly changing direction, maybe you do have an inkling on what you'd like to do, or perhaps you have an idea that you'd love to start implementing, but you kind of keep switching. And you're also in the right place if you're going between two things. So maybe you totally have one direction that you'd love to go in, but then you have another one that you'd equally love, and you're just not sure where to go and what to focus on. So my intention with this call today is that you will begin to experience the clarity that is always available to you, that you will begin to see a direction of travel for your work, your business, your career. And I'm not just speaking to those of you that are in business or have your own business or want to have your own business, but I'm speaking in the broader terms of being on purpose and doing something you love. That's what I'm all about. Really just doing what you love in life and enjoying your life in the process. Because so often we can get caught up in trying to make something work. And we can get caught up in the whole logistics of trying to get by and trying to simply do whatever it is we can in any given moment. And we lose sight of the creative potential within all of us and the opportunities that are always available to us when we're not lost in all that crazy thinking about how we should be already further ahead, how we should already know what we want to do next, how we should already have the answers for wherever we're currently at, or given the amount of money we've already spent or been thinking about spending in terms of getting somewhere. So if anything, I want today's call and this webinar to really support you in, firstly, coming back home to self with a capital S. If nothing else, use this call to quieten down and settle down. That's one of the things that my clients report to me more and more. They say, Grace, I just want to get on the phone with you because I know by the time I get off, I'll be over my panic or my anxiety or my stress. Whatever has been going on before the call will have shifted. So if nothing else, use this time together to experience what I can only describe as your true self. Your true self with a capital S, the part of you that has the answers, the part of you that knows the direction she wants to go in, the part of you that always is already clear and already home. And my second intention with the call is that you will see something new about your experience, that you will get an insight, or you will get a clarity, or you will get an aha around something you've been going back and forth on, or around something that's been causing you to struggle in recent months or years. There's only so much time on the call, so I'll get through as much of the content. We've got some fun content here to get through, and I'll get through as much as that as possible. But towards the end of the call, I will make a very special time-limited offer for those of you that might like to go a bit deeper with me, and for those of you that simply think the offer is too good not to take advantage of straight away. So do stay on until the end of the call if you can. Listen all the way through if you want to get a taste of what is available for you should you be thinking about going a bit deeper on this exploration with me. So now's the time to close down your whatever's open, your phones, your computers, your Facebook. My Facebook has been going all day because I just announced that today I got engaged. Well, last night I got engaged. So I have closed all of that down, as exciting as it is, to be present and here with you, and to really be able to share with you what I want to share. And so what are we sharing today? We're sharing finally get clear on how you can be of service, get your business going, and experience the peace and contentment your soul craves. So let me start with a story. Let me start with what has been really most kind of significant for me, and the reason that I'm even bringing this title and this content forward. And for those of you that don't know me, you know, like I started out as a French teacher in London, and I was pretty determined to succeed in that career. I enjoyed my teaching. I enjoyed the children that I taught. I taught 11 to 16-year-old boys. But I noticed that a lot of my time and energy was going into really boring tasks, actually, that I didn't want to do, quite honestly, like things that were not related to teaching, things that were not related to, you know, being of service in a way that you love. And so I quickly got quite bored with that. And I realized pretty soon into my career, if I'm honest, that that wasn't really what I wanted to do and to spend my life doing. On top of that, I worked in a very unstylish environment. Like, it was in the suburbs of London, and there wasn't even a coffee shop. Like, that's how dreary it was. Like, there wasn't even, I'm not even talking about a Starbucks or a Costa Coffee. We should be so lucky. I'm talking about there wasn't somewhere to even go away from the building and just get some space. So I was always in this really tight, ugly environment with these high energy, wonderful pupils and kids, but just not feeling fulfilled, just always feeling like, oh, you know, here we go again. And so I spent like 6 years in that position. For 6 years, I got up and I went to work every day. I tried to just like it. I tried to get on with it. And I tried my best where I was. But I really noticed when I was there that I was getting tireder and tireder. So I would leave my job and be more exhausted than when I had woken up that morning. And I would often, you know, need constant outside motivation to even just go there. So first thing in the morning, all I could think of was, how the hell am I going to get out of bed? Okay, we'll get a motivation, we'll get a reason to go today. Over time, my health started taking a hit, because if any of you know, when you ignore your wisdom, your body starts to tell you, especially for us women. So my body started to take a hit, and I began to get frequent colds, frequent flus, frequent sinus problem. Like, there was always something occurring and appearing, and I just was living life surviving. I was always tired, no energy, no sense of purpose. And the turning point for me came one day when I was en route to work on the tube. That's the London Underground, a train for those of you that aren't sure of that. And I was en route to work, and I took what I can only describe as a panic attack. So it was all I could do to get off the train and sit down on the stairwell. I couldn't breathe. And in that moment, I realized something. And I realized, I don't want to live like this anymore. Hundreds of people were rushing past me to get to their jobs. No one was stopping to say anything. People were caught in the cycle of rush, 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 stress, stress, stress. And frankly, every time I looked at my bank account, the money was going on my health. So I was going to this job to work and then spend my money that I'd earned on figuring out what was wrong with my health. So at some point I woke up and I thought, this just doesn't make sense anymore. This just isn't what I want to do. And I did not know what else I could do. I had no idea at that stage what else I could do, but I had a very clear decision that it wasn't this. So My opportunity to change came very unexpectedly. About 6 months after this incident, I came home one day and my partner was in the kitchen and he said to me that he was done with London. Now, this is the last thing I wanted to hear because I wasn't done with London. I had created friends, a community. I loved the lifestyle. I loved the variety. So it was quite difficult for me to hear this, but some part of me knew this is the ticket out. You gotta go. This is the way out. And his choice was, let's go to Italy for a year and then we'll go to Canada. Of course, I got to Italy and the idea of Canada went right out the window because I did not want to ever leave once I got here, given that suddenly I went from the dreary suburbs of London to this stylish, beautiful environment where people actually don't care about how much you work, they care about how much you're enjoying your life. So my time in Italy has been like really unexpected, but also very nourishing. Now, before you start to think, oh, she had a rich boyfriend, that's how she got out of her job, both of us were leaving our situations behind. Both of us were saying yes to figuring out a next step. So both of us were taking a risk, not knowing what was going to occur next, but very clear that we weren't going to do more of the surviving we had been doing. So here I am in Italy that first year, having a nice time, enjoying it all. You know, we don't need to think about work so much because there is no work, you know, and we have this easier time because you don't need, at that point, you didn't need as much money compared to London. So there was a sense of spaciousness that opened up all of a sudden. Well, as much as I loved the spaciousness and lying on the beach, there came a point where I literally was getting very frustrated and bored. And I say this to all of my clients, you know, as much as you think you want to live your life on holiday, there's some part of you that really wants to serve and help others. There's some part of you that will wake up after your restful period that will actually just want to put you back out there. And that happened to me within about 9 months. I just started getting more and more of a desire to be of service, to help people, and to look towards what else I could do. But I had only ever been a teacher. So I didn't know. But like, I was just a teacher. What else could a teacher do except teach? I didn't know if there was another way. What was helpful to me was to see that other people had changed their lives, had changed their careers, had, you know, was to be around some communities and role models who had already done it. So I simply, from afar, started looking in that direction. I started seeing that people were coaching. I started seeing that you could, you know, help people in a new way. I started seeing that people were just getting online and teaching other people how to do stuff. And I thought to myself, wow, you know, I could do that. People often have come to me for advice. People have often wanted to know what my story is. And I'd spent a little bit of time actually in London delving into the world of personal development. So it wasn't like a whole new thing to me, but it wasn't something I'd ever considered that I could do, that I could actually engage with. A moment came during my journey of trying to figure out what I could do, given my skills, given my experience, where I couldn't really afford not to make a decision anymore. I had become so financially dependent on my partner that our relationship was just going south. You know, I hated the fact I had to ask for money at the time. I hated the fact that I couldn't go and buy the things I wanted to buy. I hated the fact that there was conflict beginning to arise. And there came a turning point where I really had to wise up and stop playing this I'm not clear, I don't know what else I could do game that I was playing, because it was literally starting to cost me in terms of my relationship. And that was so important to me that I did not want to lose it, and I did not want to live life in conflict. So in my exploration of what else I could do, I started to look at what I had done. I started to narrow down a little bit what my interests were. And I came to a point of recognition where, rather than sitting on the beach praying all day and finding myself in tears about how I'm not clear and I don't know what I could do and everybody else seems to have the pie but I don't have the pie, I just kind of woke up and saw, make a decision, Grace. Pick a lane, choose a direction of travel. And my direction of travel was between two areas at that point. I was really interested in well-being because I'd been burnt out and I'd been exhausted in London. And I'd also, as a teenager, I'd also experienced problems around food and eating, and I'd overcome that without therapy or traditional methods. So I was really interested in well-being, but I was equally interested in purpose and purposeful living and doing what you love. And so I chose a lane. I chose the direction of purpose and career, and given that my story and my experience was fresh around that, that seemed like a really nice direction of travel for me to start going in. So I began to share on my Facebook, on blogs, on any opportunity I had to speak to others, how I had been now searching for more purpose in my life, how I'd left my job, left a salary behind, and was now in this exploration of what else is there for me. And that literally began my career as a coach. That sharing led to inquiries, it led to media opportunities, it led to, at one point when I got really strong in the message, it led to 10 clients in the space of 30 days when I had none originally, or I had one here and one there every so often. And so I began to live more on purpose and in service and less frustrated. I went from not knowing, or this idea that I didn't know, to actually choosing a direction of travel and sticking with it. And this is one of the things that I say to my clients all the time, you know, when they come to me, like it's the first element of our content here, you know, this process of simply going in a direction that you would love to go in is going to be so helpful to all of you if you're spinning on what do I want to do? What have I got that I can offer people? What is it that I can sell? What is it that I'm about? You know, it really is about looking towards knowing that you have the clarity within you, pulling up your big girl boots. I mean, for me, I was literally at times sitting on the beach like a little spoiled girl, you know, with tears coming down her eyes. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it was like, we know, we always know. Most of my time is spent with clients now, drawing out the wisdom that's already in them, because we know what we want to do. And so in choosing that direction of travel, in choosing that lane, if you like, my world began to open up. And that's like one of the first things I would like to pinpoint for our content today. Like, I really want to pinpoint that the process to help you identify how you can be of service starts with considering. We have some static. 1 second. If your line's not muted, please do so. Can you mute your line? We'll get back. We'll get back to the content. So you know, really, the process starts with us taking a stand for being clear, which if you're on this call right now, you're already demonstrating that. You're already saying, I'm not up for any more confusion. And then moves to looking at what is it that you have experienced or empowered yourself with, that you would like people to know or to learn. Because it was really clear to me that I wanted people to know they could leave their jobs and they'd be okay. It was so clear to me that I'd done that, so I had no insecurity around sharing that. Now, I mentioned that my other area of interest was well-being. I felt a lot more insecure about sharing stuff around health and well-being and food problems, because that just felt like, oh, I don't want people to know that at that particular time. So one of the ways we can identify a direction of travel for our service, especially if we're swinging between two areas, is which one do you just feel really comfortable sharing right now? Which one just feels like the easy one? You wouldn't have an issue getting up and sharing it on stage, on a blog, publicly. Which one is it? Now, if we take it back a step around the process of being clear, there's an element of really recognizing where clarity comes from. Because you see, I believe we are born confident and clear. If you look at little babies, you don't see little babies having any sort of self-consciousness or confusion. They're just themselves. They're just happy. They'll let you know when they're not. At some point in our journey, I think we get aware of ourselves and we become very self-conscious. And with that, we get so focused on us, the little us, not the true self, but the small us, that we literally wind ourselves up with more and more insecure thinking, to the point that that's all we can see up here. We can't see the clarity that's right just behind that. We don't see the confidence that's always available, let alone feel it. Because we get lost in this world of thought that really takes us from being present and clear and confident to being caught up, fearful, self-conscious, and way too self-concerned. And we begin to evaluate ourselves. Oh, I can't do that because someone else is already doing it. Oh no, I can't talk about that because I don't have experience or credentials. Or no one's going to want to hear that from me because that's not a big deal. Watch how you evaluate yourself, because I can promise you the ideas are coming to you. The clarity's there. The ideas, the products, the services, the career changes, the romances, the desires, it's all there. But as you start to evaluate, you move further and further away. So coming back to the process for identifying how you can be of service. You know, I take my clients through a sort of a 10-step, 10-question process that helps them really get clear on their style of work and business and direction that most suits them. And the reason I do that is because when they see that, when they go through that process, they begin to wake up to what is important to them. They begin to wake up to what is key for them long term if they're to succeed. And as part of that process, I always like to start with, what's your story? Like, tell me about your story. What have you done or what have you experienced that's been a game changer, a life changer, a body changer, and a well-being changer for you? And so often, ladies and gents, whoever is listening, the key to your service is in your story. It's in your experience. It's not really in your qualifications, though those are helpful, but the thing that is relatable to the public and the world at large is your story and your personal journey. And there's something about starting there that I see with my clients as we go through that process. They begin to connect the dots. And I encourage you to start there too. Consider, what is my story and what is the thing that I have overcome or solved or changed or empowered myself with despite the odds. And if you're someone listening and you're like, oh my God, but my story is massive and I've got all these bits to it and I wouldn't know where to start, let's keep this simple. I'm a great believer in simplicity. Go to the most recent thing. At the time I got my business going by sharing the most recent thing I had engaged with, and that was leaving my job despite losing my salary, leaving my job despite losing my city, leaving my job despite not having anything to go to. Go to your most recent if it helps you. And consider, consider that. Consider how cool that is and how unique that is, how amazing that is, that whatever you just did, whether it was 4 years ago or 5 or 10 or 3 months ago or whatever, there's juice in that. There's clarity in that. And as you begin to consider your story, look for the turning point. I say this to my clients as part of our process as well. What was the turning point? Like, you heard me talk about my 2 turning points. One was I was on the train to work and I took a panic attack and I just decided I wasn't living like that anymore. That was a turning point in my life. And the other one was I was sitting on the beach literally crying yet again, totally frustrated and worrying that I was going to lose my relationship because I was so financially dependent on my partner. And then I made the decision from there, that's it. I'm picking a lane. I'm taking direction. Look for your turning point. You've all got one. No one on this call doesn't have a story. No one on this call doesn't have a turning point. And here's the cool thing. That's why you don't have to worry about who's my ideal client. Oh my God, what's my niche? Oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing? Because your story and your turning point inform who's going to come to you. So as I began to share my story and my turning point in leaving my job, more and more corporate women started showing up. More and more women were saying, hey, can you help me leave my job? I want to do that. More and more people were interested in me talking about how I had done that and why I had done that. So you know, rather than me coming up with who I'd like to work with and you know, what age is she and where does she live and what does she look like, it started to emerge as I began to share my journey. And the cool thing about sharing your story and your journey, when you nail that piece for yourself, is that, you know, people relate to it. It takes away all of the strenuous searching for what you're meant to be doing and who you're meant to be serving. So I got into service from that, sharing that story and really starting to be consistent with that. And let me talk about that for a moment, because that's part of our content here today. You know, when people come to me and they say, you know, I've got this idea, I'm not making any money with it and nobody seems to want it and all the rest, I usually find out that the reason that's not happening is because they've not been sharing the same thing over and over again. They've shared it once or twice or maybe 10 times here and there, but they've not been any way consistent in their sharing. So, you know, if you're not being consistent, you can't expect results. There's something around sticking to one thing at a time and sharing that in as many different ways as you can on as many different platforms as you enjoy. Like in the case of my lovely client, Robin, who I sent out to you all last week. You know, when Robin came to me for clarity, you know, she was sharing with me, you know, that she was considering going back to a job and she was considering having interviews. She was even having some interviews. And this was all because there was no income coming in. And what we uncovered through our exploration was that actually she had ideas, she had stories, she had turning points. She even had content written, but she wasn't sharing it consistently. So that was kind of a really easy, like, no-brainer. You're not going to have, your business isn't going to be going in any direction if you're keeping all this brilliant information and all these ideas to yourself. So there's something about just sharing. You know, when I said in the content, you know, the reason you aren't consistent and what to do about it, like, what to do about it is to start sharing. Start sharing the direction of travel you are choosing to go in. Start sharing your story with us. Start sharing your turning point with us or with the people that you're around or networking with or whatever. Now, there is an exception to the rule that I have seen, like in the case of my beautiful client, Rita. Rita came to me and she was like totally not, she was wanting to go in the direction of relationships and she was into beauty and femininity and everything just suited her down to the ground. But there came a point in her journey where she just was sort of, I suppose, doubting herself around that and very much not sure if that was definitely the way she should go. And so she came back to me, and she's come back to me most recently to say that actually, you know, everyone keeps coming to her, asking her for relationship advice, asking her to talk about relationship. Now, this is a cool way to identify your service and offer if it's happening in your life. Not everyone is as blessed as that one, right? In terms of knowing clearly from the outside what to focus on. But if there is something that people consistently want to hear from you on or come to you about or want to talk to you about, it's a pretty good indicator that that's the direction of travel. That's the area of service or interest. As I take clients through my process in terms of really getting clear on what they're going to contribute, on what they're here to do. And many of these women, I would like to point out, this isn't their first rodeo. Like they're 45 plus. They've been in careers, they've maybe had businesses, and they're looking at what it is they want to do next. So coming through the process of really understanding and knowing, you know, exactly what you're all about at this stage and exactly what you want to contribute is a miracle in itself. And 9 times out of 10, they will say to me, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want to do. I knew that. Because it's already there. It's already available to you. And so you have something now that you can begin to go and explore in terms of story, in terms of turning point, in terms of what is the world asking for from you, if you want to go from that side of things. And in really looking at, what am I most comfortable sharing with people? Because when you share from insecurity, you won't be consistent. That's the real reason people aren't consistent. It's not that there's something wrong with them. It's not that they've got a money story to fix. It's not that they've got more stuff to fix before they can get out there. It's not even that they're lazy. It's that people get lost in their own insecure thought. And when you fall for that, it's hard to get up and eat breakfast, let alone be consistent with being visible, sharing a message, being online, being offline, being in your business. Now, one of the ways that I see people fall for this insecurity over and over again is they begin to get self-conscious. They begin to compare themselves. They begin to think there's a right way to do this. And it's not helped by the fact that the whole world online especially is telling you there's a right way to do this. There's your way. And your way is the only way that will work. You have wisdom. You have the same access to wisdom as all the geniuses in the world, as all the best business leaders in the world. You have the same access to wisdom as everybody has. And your job is to operate more from there than from insecurity. And as you do so, I can promise you, your business will be going. You'll be doing well. Your well-being will rise up. Your ability to communicate and have confidence in what you've got will just be there. That's one of the reasons I really believe you don't need more mindset work. None of us do. I spent years on mindset work. And one thing I noticed was the moment I took my foot off the gas where my mind was concerned, I just went back to all the same level of insecure thought and worry and stressful thinking that was always there. Now, in the moment, reading these wonderful books and saying these lovely words kind of gave me a boost. It was kind of helpful in the moment. But at some point, I find myself back on the couch. And when you're in that state, the last thing you want to do is pick up a book and start reading it. You're struggling with the day-to-day when you're in that state of mind. So for me, it's not about you or any of us working on our stories more, our money story, our wounds, our breakups, our past, our mother, our father. It's not about that. That's not where success comes from. Now, that might be helpful if your wisdom guides you to have some healing around an area, or to do an exercise, or to read a book. I'm not saying don't follow your wisdom if that's calling you. But what I see as to why people are really not having much consistency with their business, are really not having income, are really not out there sharing, they're spending far too much time on their mindset, on looking for and fixing problems that aren't even there. So the one thing that I believe will truly help you succeed, whether it's around money or it's around health or it's around having clients and an income, or whether it's around changing jobs or just enjoying your life more, the one thing that I see that helps is that you don't get lost in insecure thought. And when you start to recognize that your insecure thought is just that, it's thought, it has no meaning. If you let it move on and pass by, it will go. Then you start to operate in a whole new way. The problem is when we get lost in insecure thought, we think it's real. So we start to look for more of it. That's what I notice from clients that come to me. They innocently get really caught up internally and mentally to the point that they really think that this thing they're thinking is real, so they better go and work on it more before they can serve. They better go and fix it before they can charge a certain amount or ask for a certain proposal to be done for a client. They better go and explore more about the thinking that they're having. I'm not interested in the content of your thinking, because I have seen from my own experience a deeper understanding around life that points to the fact that yes, we experience life through thought, but it has very little meaning. It passes on, it moves on the moment we let it. So if you're someone, you find yourself spending more time on mindset or more time on figuring out what's wrong with you and what else you need to fix. If you're someone who, keeps changing direction because you're totally convinced that the confusing thoughts you're having must be real, take a step back. Taking a step back from that insecure thinking will help you. Looking into it more and more will not. And that's been one of the huge common denominators I've seen with clients who've come to me who have been really quite successful very quickly, and others who take longer. The ones who are more quickly getting into the creation of what they want and getting going, they're not getting lost in insecurities. They're not, and to be frank, that was my experience starting out too. I didn't feel insecure about whether or not I could talk about leaving your job. I was just like, I'm going for this. This is my direction of travel. Now, innocently, I can understand that being human, self included, we get lost, we get caught up, we get stuck in that level of insecurity, and sometimes it looks really, really real. But there's something about noticing when you're lost instead of falling for it. And that's the difference with me now. And that's the difference with my clients now. We're not likely to fall for what we used to. And as a result of that, life changes. In my own life, personally speaking, I experience a contentment that I didn't have before. I had all of the great credentials and the 5-star lifestyle and the first class travel and the Forbes award-winning brand and blog. But I can't say I had a deep sense of well-being and contentment because I constantly felt caught up in that insecure thought. I constantly fell for that level of thinking. And as I did so, my life demonstrated and reflected more of that. As I work with each client, I see each time that people start to transform when they're not falling for it. That if they just catch themselves even just a little bit more than they did yesterday, that alone can change their business and their world. And so this to me is the most graceful way of putting an end to any sort of self-consciousness or questioning yourself or living discontent. It's that beginning to notice when you're getting lost in your insecurities. It's that living beyond insecure thought and operating from your wisdom that's always there, always trying to get you to your next place and move you to your next, creation. But so often and so innocently, when you don't know where your experience is coming from, as humans, when you're in that, you fall for it even more. And then people around you tweak your insecure thinking even further. Because innocently they fall for it too. I always say to my clients, I'm not interested in the content of your mind. You can tell me whatever's going on. You can talk to me about what you think is going on and what you think the problem is. I'm interested in moving you back to pure clarity on what you're going to do next. I'm interested in moving you back to the confidence that's already there. I'm interested in creating a way forward for whatever objective it is you have. And so there's something really powerful about living from that space. It's why I said in our title, experiencing the peace and contentment your soul craves. Because ultimately, that's what we're all looking for. We think the bank account will give it to us. We think the man might give it to us. We think the business will give it to us. It's already there. And I can promise you that the less you're living life caught up in those insecurities and the more you are taking action around your wisdom, the more results you will see. It's that simple. I'd love to check in just on what you're hearing, like this. What are you hearing in this? Because right now there's an element of I'm sharing and I'm talking and I don't know what you're hearing. So if anyone would like to comment, even briefly, or ask a question, now would be a great time if you'd like to do that. And to do that, I would suggest, because I can see you all, I would suggest you maybe just raise your hand so I can see that you're raising your hand. That would be awesome. And you don't have to. Oh, okay, there we go. There's Jill. Hi, Jill.
Hi. So one of the things that I'm hearing is that it's actually a lot simpler and that our mind tends to make it complicated. And even while you were talking, I was getting all these hits and then my mind would make it complicated.
Yeah, I love that you're seeing that. Yeah. If it's not simple, it's not wisdom.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Thank you for sharing. Thanks for coming on. Did you have anything else?
Well, just you talking about it made me feel more peaceful, and it was giving me ideas that I can play with
Brilliant.
and helping me refine, because I have a lot of things that are going around. I'm shifting what I'm doing to make it more of what you're talking about here. You know, it's more true to me, and then not getting caught up in, oh, but that means this, and then I have to do that, and I don't know how to do this, and you know.
Brilliant. I hear some clarity coming through. I love
Mhm.
that. Clarity without the evaluation.
Yeah.
Huge. We'll keep
And
us.
it's also stimulating. I think one of the issues that I have grappled with is I have too many things that I could do. And then I've gotten advice on, well, because you know how to do that, so you should do this, and that's what people need. And it's more important really to tune into what I want to do. And your comment about what's the most recent thing kind of opened up a new avenue to look at.
I love that. Yeah. It's one of the reasons that, you know, when clients come to me, I say, like, I can't, no one can give you advice on what your purpose or your relationship or your next thing should be, right? It's why we spend time drawing out the wisdom that's already in you and then bringing that together. So you sound like you're opening up.
Yeah, and what's beautiful about that is that when I have had experience of people telling me, it never works out because it doesn't feel right. And then it becomes inconsistent because it just doesn't feel right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You know, when you're in it, you win it. So someone else being in it and telling you and trying to, you know, that's kind of less you. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see where that goes. Wonderful. Thanks for your comment.
Thank you.
Real quick check-in. Anybody else? Something that you want to share, what you're hearing? Got a question? I'm here for you for a second. And if we have time at the end, I'll open it up again to a possible question. Karen. Hi, Karen.
Hi, I couldn't let this go by. I'm sorry. I just want to say I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
That's what I want to say.
I don't know. Yesterday I got engaged. So
I'm so happy. Congratulations to you and Marcel. Give my congrats to him too. Big hugs.
I have to say it was quite an exciting event. So it sort of left me going, oh yeah, I'll have to trust my wisdom on this webinar today a lot more than usual, because we've just been bombarded with beautiful opportunities and wishes all day. It's been great. So I love this idea that you all, and it's not just an idea, it's the truth, that you all have access to the same creative potential as even the biggest business leaders out there. There was a time in my life where I used to do this exercise where we were asked to own the traits of the people we admired. And I used to find it such a strange thing to have, you know, but I really thought at that time, oh, if I just see that I'm like them, then I'll be okay. And that served its purpose for when it was happening. But it was almost like another mindset thing again. You know, it makes absolutely no sense to try and make yourself be like someone else, when the reality is that we are all accessing and have the same connection to the same level of wisdom. You know, just as the acorn becomes an oak tree and the embryo becomes a baby without you or I doing anything about it, that same wisdom is there to support you in creating whatever it is that's next, to support you in getting to where you want to go. And sometimes I think we can get lost in this idea that we have to change ourselves to be successful, that there must be something lacking, something that needs changed. And whilst positive change that comes from you that you would like to do is helpful, what's not helpful is waking up every day and thinking that you need to be something different or someone different in order to succeed. In my own life, I have seen times where sometimes my state of mind has been very low and I've been very successful. It had nothing to do with whether or not I was in a good state of mind or meditating or doing affirmations or, you know, emulating people. And there were other times where I've been in a really good state of mind and been living in that space of well-being and sort of, you know, seeing success emerge in a new way, in new areas. So the less we're falling for this insecurity, the better. The more we are connecting to the wisdom within us, and if it helps having someone draw that out, like, great. But it, you know, it's there. It's part of the plan for you. Then the more we're able to create services, generate products, do great things with what we've got. And the more we're in a space of service, as opposed to a space of being in our head, then just the better that is. So today, you know, we've been able to delve in and you've been able to get a sense of, you know, the process that you want to start looking at, you know, to develop that next step for yourself, whatever that will be. You know, you can identify quickly, I should hope at this stage, from looking at what I've shared, you know, where you're at and what you can do for yourself. And clarity has started opening a bit for some of you, I'm sure. And we've heard from Jill in terms of what she's experiencing. So I know that this will land, and I would encourage you to watch this recording again. But I will share with you a very special offer today, if you'd like to take advantage of it, and if you would just really like some support around drawing out that wisdom from within and actually putting something together that you can share with the world and putting yourself out there with that. And so what I'd like to share is for a time, it's on a time limit. This is going to be available until only July 23rd. So it's available until Sunday. And then it'll be going back to the normal way that we do it. But what I'm offering today is the opportunity for you to have private coaching with me across 3 sessions. And there's logic to this, right? In those 3 sessions, we will focus specifically on whatever your objectives are, but we will have a focus on session 1, taking you through the process I use to help you get crystal clear on exactly what you need in your business and in your direction to allow you to move forward. So you'll get really clear on the elements that are most crucial to your product or service or business or whatever it is you like to create. Most people who go through that with me, that's the starting place I have with clients, report that they're simply able to take a sigh of relief in seeing that they have a direction of travel that is truly them. So it's an awakening of what is most important to you. It's an awakening of what priority you really have things. And it will help you get clear in terms of the direction you want to go with your service or your product or your offer. So that's session 1. In session 2, I will support you with your specific story. So we'll delve into what is the story, what areas of the story you're wanting to share, not share, what emphasis do we want to put on these aspects of your story, and what was the turning point. So one of the things that I'm quite blessed to enjoy is writing and communicating. So I'm helping you write and communicate clearly exactly what it is you are helping people with, exactly what it is you are going to give them, and the way that we would position the story would be to enable your type of client to connect with you and relate with you very easily. So there'll be a bit of copy editing involved, and mostly there'll be an exploration of, what makes you different and what makes this thing about you, relatable to them. So session 2 is generally around the story and all of that piece. Then in session 3, we will develop a service or offer or product or business model. Now that we have the clarity from doing the process together in session 1, and now that we know the direction of travel as well with your story, in the 3rd session, we can put together an exact product or service, whatever it is that you would like to sell. So my intention is that you would walk away from these 3 sessions with the direction of travel to go in, the clarity on exactly what it is that you want to be including in your business for it to sustain you long term. Most of the time people come to me and they say, well, I just get bored, or well, I just, I don't want to do that anymore, Grace. So this particular process, I can't emphasize it enough, this is to safeguard you changing direction yet again. This is where you're just going to have clarity on what's truly you, and you live your life and build your business around. You'll walk away with confidence in yourself and your story and what you're all about, so you can start to share that and be consistent with that. You'll find a defined area of expertise. So you'll walk away knowing that. You'll walk away clear on how you can communicate what you've got. One of the other things that people come to me with is, I don't know how to say what I do. So you walk away really clear on how to communicate what you've got. You walk away with an offer, a service, a product, or a business model. You choose, it depends what we're going to create together. But the idea is that you walk away with something you can sell. And you will walk away also with a deep understanding of what drives you and what makes you different, what helps you stand out, and what value you're actually bringing to the people that will work with you. The value of these 3 sessions I usually price at around £1,000, but I do have a special offer today. Before I share the offer, I want to share with you that there are also bonuses. So I have 2 really cool bonuses. The first one is, when you sign up for this opportunity, you will also get our 6-week Mean Your Message and Attract Clients Now 6-week program. You'll get 6 recordings, that's 9 hours of exploration and watching me coach individuals around their message, their offer, their confidence, their marketing, their branding, their money story, their selling. Lots and lots of juice in those. If you're a coach, you might want to get that as part of your tool set, if you like. If you would just like to see some of that coaching in action. If you're not a coach and you're interested in simply delving into those areas, then it's still highly beneficial to you. So you get the most recent one of those that we did this year in 2017. So that's 9 hours of live laser coaching around all of the topics I mentioned. That's valued at £500. And you'll also receive our website dossier bonus. So that's everything you need. I've put it into a concise web dossier. Everything you need to create a web presence or a sales page or an online presence, if you like, where your ideal clients can connect with you and relate with you and check out your services and really get an understanding of what you're all about. So if you're the type of person you've trouble, creating content for your web, or you keep getting lost in, I'd like to do a web, but I don't know what I'm up to. Or if you're in the process of making a website, or you want to refresh your website in due course, that will be very valuable to you. And that is also valued at £500. So that brings our total offer, where we've got 3 sessions of private coaching with me. And we have 6 weeks of the recordings for the Mean Your Message program and the website dossier. It brings it all to £2,000. Here's my special offer. If this speaks to you today and you'd love to get that, between now and Sunday, July 23rd, I have this on offer at £600. I'm probably never going to do it like that again. But it's on at £600, and the way that you can get that is emailing me directly at thegirlconfidence.com with the subject line in. I'll take the notes. Spoken to you in some way, and let me know, and if you'd like to at citygirlconfidence.com. Oh, I got a message that you lost me. Are we back? Okay, so I'm going to go back. I'll just repeat the offer real quick. It's valued at £2,000, includes 3 private sessions with me, includes the 6 weeks of live recordings for the Mean Your Message program. So that's 9 hours of live coaching. It includes the website dossier. And today it is on offer between now and Sunday, the 23rd of July, for £600. I'm probably never going to offer it at that again, given that the coaching alone is worth more than that. But I'm interested in those of you that would like to take some fast action now, and I encourage you to email me directly with the subject line, I am in. In other words, you're interested, you want in, grace@citygirlconfidence.com. So I've talked a lot, and I want to bring on 1 or 2 people that I want you to hear from, just in case you think that it's a little just me. Just in case you think that I'm the one that is able to be clear, okay? So I wanted to bring on a couple of women that have had experience of getting clear on what they're up to, and who have had experience of looking in this direction with me. And I'm going to start with the beautiful Françoise Everett today. And Françoise is coming live to us from where, darling?
I'm in Florida right now. Normally Atlanta, but right now I'm in Florida.
Brilliant. Okay. So what would you like to share with the ladies around just your own experience of looking in this direction because you were someone who had been looking in a different direction, and you've been looking at mindset, and you've been trying to figure that bit out. And we know that things have shifted. So yeah, just share with us your experience, Francoise.
Yeah, so I mean, I really got into the mindset stuff several years ago, and I really, really liked it. And then I noticed that, just kind of a quick little story about it is that the more mindset work I did, the more my life fell apart. And that didn't seem to make any sense to me. So I just kind of leaned back on my own and decided to take a look at what was really going on, and realized that before I had done all the mindset work, that my life really worked, and that there was as I told you, Grace, I had felt like there was this space I discovered before the mindset, and I wanted to go back there. And that's what had me start to really pay attention to the work that you're doing, because I felt it. Like I had this experience, and then I saw you start to speak about this, and it spoke so deeply to me. And so recently I took you up on having a conversation to get clear, because I really felt like I had lost my way because what I was teaching and coaching on had worked really well. It was something I had really loved, and yet it wasn't sustainable. And I think that's part of it, is that it's not sustainable. And so in our conversations, what you kept pointing me to was, why had clients come to me? What was I saying 3 years ago, in networking events, when clients would just come and be like, I don't know, I just want to get to know you, and I want to work with you, without much explanation of anything. And you helped me really, as you say, look in that direction. And which was that I used to just say I help women have elegant sales conversations. And what it was is that it was very particular to them. It was like, there is your own way of having sales. As you say, there's all the marketeers out there. And I came to realize that in my past work and my past clients, what they were craving and getting through the coaching was having their own way of selling that felt really good to them. And it was completely unique to them. And I had gone in a different direction, like you said earlier, because I had gotten bored with saying the same thing over and over again. But what I've realized since our conversation is that I might have gotten bored with that message, which actually really worked. But that was the initial part that helped me make a connection with women who cared about that. And that the work I did with them was super unique. It was so catered to them. So that was one thing that I haven't even quite mentioned to you. But also in our conversation, you really helped me see that that's why women were coming, because I had recently hosted a workshop on a different topic, and I talked about that topic, but the women who knew me from before, who had attended previous workshops, that's all they wanted. They brought it back to money. They brought it back to, so that's where you helped me identify like peace of mind around money. That's something I can truly speak to, and I really calm a lot of my clients with. And so it was kind of like there, and you just helped me see that it was right in front of me, and I had lost my clarity around it. So immediately I went and spoke about that. Like the next time I went out at any meeting, any conversation, it was natural. I wasn't pushing it out into the world, but I was just naturally talking about it when it came up. And I had opportunities show up that would not have presented themselves. And then the other thing, and I think we know this intellectually, but we don't always have the experience of it, Grace, is like, because we get into the books and we study the mindset, but then we know it in our heads, but we're not having that direct experience. And what I realized is you helping me with the clarity, and then my wisdom coming from that place had me have like an experience or a jump in consciousness, if you will, that had me go, I perceived everything differently. So things were already there. I just wasn't seeing them because I didn't have that clarity to begin with, right? So it wasn't just it was almost like it wasn't just the clarity in this plane. It sort of like just expanded it on so many levels that I was like, oh, look at this opportunity, look at this. And oh, now that I'm saying this, I perceive this differently. So that's where I think it's a beautiful combination of you pointing me to clarity and then to pick a lane. I mean, you very straightforwardly said to me, pick a lane. Like, let's make sure you know where you're going. And you're like, keep the message for the next 6 to 12 months. And that makes sense, right? Because of the consistency. And I remember someone saying, like, if you're chopping out a tree and you want to chop it across, like, you're not going to just make a chop like all over the trunk. It'll never work. So you've got to keep chopping in the same place. And that sort of all comes back to like, pick a lane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the combination, honestly, Grace, of you helping me get super clear on what I've been doing very successfully and remembering that that's what I was doing and re-choosing it because it actually felt honest. And it came back to its simplicity, like Jill said earlier, like, yeah, like it came back to its very simple form, and it is effective. And that allowed me to have wisdom and insights come through that were much more like, oh yeah, this is supportive and this is what is next.
You start to see the possibility all around you when you're clear. You know, you start to, things just open up from that space. It's not that they weren't there, it's just that they open. But what I want to touch on in your sharing that I think will be helpful to everyone to hear is, you know, you can't sell what you don't see. And so it's not like Francoise just, you know, oh, well, I was doing that before, so I'll do it again. The reason that it was so easy to draw from Francoise what direction was because she had seen something deeply around money, around selling, around why women struggle with this area. And she had had quite a profound insight a number of months ago that just brought that to another level. And so you really can't sell what you don't see, ladies. You know, I say that to my clients all the time. What have you seen? Don't tell me what books you've read or what qualifications you have. What have you seen to be true? What do you want people to know? It's part of the process that I bring you through, you know. And so it's not a sort of willy-nilly, yeah, I like this area and people come to me about this area, so maybe there's something deeper around you've been put here for a particular message at this time, a particular service at this time. It's subject to change as we grow. I remember helping people get out of corporate jobs long before I was helping women create you know, businesses and peace of mind and well-being and confidence and lifestyle. You know, our message is of the moment. Our service is of the moment. Our direction is in the moment. It doesn't mean it won't change. But to me, it was very clear, Francoise, that you'd seen deeply in that area. And but for perhaps getting lost as we do in that mindset game, in that insecurity, in that, oh, everybody else is already doing that kind of talk, you know, we start to go off track. And that's one of the reasons I'm opening up this opportunity to all of you, is like, this gives you a chance to come back home to center. It's 3 sessions. It's not 30 because you don't need 30. You know, Francoise and I did a lot in one. So there's something about, you know, right, you can't see from the level of thinking you've currently got, but you totally just one thought away from seeing everything more clearly. And so this process of drawing it from you is my gift, is what I love to do with you. So just mention a couple of things, because like, tell us what happened right after that. Like, tell us what happened after that in the following week, because I heard you talk about being in a different space. I've heard you mention the possibilities. Yeah, so the day after you and I spoke, I was meeting with a woman and we just talked about our businesses and what we do. And
So the first thing that came up was the possibility, and I don't know where this is going to land, but the possibility of me speaking to women at an event of 100 women about selling, which, you know, when I look at myself compared, and this is the other thing that sort of dissolved around me after a conversation, was the comparison, because it's so different from what we typically think of as sales. And I thought, who am I? Like, this is so bizarre that that's what I would be doing. But there's actually such a softness and a spaciousness to selling that I was like, oh, but this is so how I would do it, that it became a non-issue to be comparing myself to other people. And so that was the first thing, is I had the possibility to, you know, there is the possibility of speaking to she mentioned 150 people. I don't know, 150 women, which if I hadn't had the clarity of the message would never have even been spoken. And then I felt like I was just in a different space altogether, Grace. Like, I operated last week, because this is quite recent, our conversation, I operated just at such a higher level, but without extra effort. I got a lot handled and done, and level of conversations were expanding, opportunities, possibilities, like, but it's also how I felt inside. Like, I felt really, really good, really confident, but it was coming from inside, and no one can put that there for you, right? So that all came from that clarity, where I was like, oh my gosh, I trusted, I got a lot done. It was a very busy week, and I didn't get depleted or exhausted. Like, I felt really good and tired. I slept really well. I saw things differently, and that's cool. Like, it sounds like maybe it's not that big a deal, but it's a big deal, because it shifts your entire experience of life. And that's the point, is like, we can know all this stuff in our heads, but if we're not having the experience, it's not the same thing as talking about it as it is to live it.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I really hear that things opened up, and you know, that's the power of clarity and being clear in that. And I think what excites me, you know, like you said, it might not sound like such a big deal, but you see, the whole world is promoting, you know, do this and then make this amount of money and then you'll be okay. Like, what I'm so excited about in what you're saying is your well-being and your confidence shot up. And you got more productive, and you saw more opportunity than normal, and you received opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is exciting, and that to me is your personal result. Like, other people's results will be different, but there's something really lovely about that result, because it tells me you came back home to center with that clarity, and now you've traveled.
And I find that when you're coming from that space, you're okay with whatever happens. When you're taking on something else and it's not yours to begin with, and then things don't work out, then you just get more pissed off. Like, you're more easily aggravated. But if you trust from within, you're always okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, darling.
Thank you, Grace.
Mention your website. Feel free to. Where can people?
Oh, okay. It's francoiseeverett.com.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
darling. So I just wanted to check in before we finish, if anyone else had any questions, if anyone wanted to share anything or ask a question. And I do have my lovely client Margaret here, and then she's going to share her experience in a moment, because her experience is somewhat slightly different and so much slightly fun again, that it's just nice for you all to get a feel for the type of thing that is available, is possible, goes on, and the type of women that are saying yes to this clarity. So if anyone has a question, go, okay, I think I see a hand raised. Hold on. Yes, I do. Is that Jill again? Okay. Hi, Jill.
Hi. So I'm just curious, you might have already answered this, but within the 3 weeks, once we get clear and we know what we want to do, before you let us go, do you give us some idea of how we can present that in the world to actually get the ball rolling?
Yeah, that happens in session 3.
Okay.
So in session 3, we're really looking at the tangible piece around, okay, what are you putting together, and certainly where's that going? So we won't leave you kind of hanging with that. There'll be time to look at that. You know, and of course, whatever you bring up in the sessions is very much your session. So you get to be in charge of, hey, Grace, I want to address this as well.
Okay.
You know, so okay, cool.
Yeah,
Just
thank you.
email me if you'd like in on that. That would be lovely.
Thanks.
Okay, darling. So let's go to, if we have anyone else that wants to ask a question, please feel free to do so. We're almost at time, but I do have the lovely Margaret here from Scotland, and I wanted to bring Margaret on because, you know, when Margaret came to me, she was convinced she was going to go in a certain direction. And a few times along the journey, she was convinced she wasn't going to do her business anymore. And then as life went on, opportunity began presenting itself to Margaret instead of Margaret presenting herself and deciding what life was going to give her. So this is a really beautiful example, an interesting example of what can unfold as you stop trying to control the outcome, and what can unfold as you get clearer and clearer on what's important to you and what you'd like to do. So as an initial question, Margaret, we see you here with us. So as an initial question, I'd love you to share, you know, tell us about your experience of just looking in this direction and what's been unfolding for you.
So what's coming to me just as we're sitting is when I very first got in touch with yourself, Grace, what really keeps coming to me is how lost I was, that I can see now, lost in ideas. And certain ways that I thought, as you beautifully put, that I thought that I really needed to go. But as working with yourself, as times went on, and what I would describe really as my own groundedness has deepened. I can spot very easily when I'm quite lost in ideas. So what that means for me now as well is I have so much more clarity. And the way that I would really describe that is that I'm fully engaged in my life. And it is beautiful every day. And what that's meant now is an opportunity came along for me, and it's worked both ways actually for my coaching, and I've now got been offered a position as a business centre manager, which is an employed job, and I would never ever have considered that, ever. But as it's turned, and I trusted my wisdom as the opportunity came along, and sensed that it was the right direction for me to go in. And it's just bit by bit, it just keeps, these new opportunities keep unfolding, you know, and presenting themselves. So I'm surrounded by, as it turns out, quite a lot of women who really at a kind of crossroads are ready for a transition, even in their business or their work, where I am. I've also Well, to give you an example, today I got in a conversation with a girl that I've been speaking to over maybe the last few months, and today she was just explaining to me how unhappy she is in her work. This is me at the reception desk. And so what's happened is I was telling her about my workshop that I've got organised. It's set for 2nd of September. And that's the whole theme around that is helping women turn dreams into reality. So she's quite excited about that, and we're going to speak a bit more tomorrow, because this just all happened this afternoon. And that's what I've really connected back, because I love simplicity, and it's something that I've often had through my life, and I lost that. I really, really lost that. But that's where I feel more back to, you know, in an even deeper way, being more authentic and everything. That it's just things just kind of like happen.
Yeah.
A lot of synchronicity again, and I smiled even when Daniela, name is, when she walked away. I just smiled because I was like, I know I'm still heading in this direction, you know, with my coaching and with my work. But what I feel, what's really come about for me is I've got what I feel I need now where I am. I've got best of both worlds, actually.
Yeah.
That's
the best of both worlds. I love that.
Yeah. That's just came there.
And if I may say, like, this is a for me, this is a direct result of following your wisdom, not someone telling you what you should do. You know, like when Margaret came to me and she said, do you know, I think I fancy being out in the world. Like, I think I actually fancy being in a job around people. And then she had a little bit of evaluation about, oh no, but I'm an entrepreneur and I don't do dead jobs and I don't, you know, she had a valuation about.
Oh yeah.
And it seems to me that, you know, holding that wisdom, following that clarity, trusting that has put you in front of an ideal audience. And not only that, but they've promoted you at that workplace very quickly because they could see the help and helpfulness that your consultations can bring.
Yeah.
So I do think that, you know, for those of you that are listening, it's like for those of you that are listening that are pushing, struggling and trying to get it out there and trying to get it going, like I'm wanting to demonstrate through Margaret that when we come from wisdom and clarity and our innate confidence, it comes to us. Opportunities present themselves. Like in the case of Françoise, she started to see what was available. She didn't see that when she was stuck in the level of thinking she had and the constriction of clarity she thought she had. And so there's something on offer here that really points to your direction becoming easier, ladies and gents. Your direction becoming clear and unfolding and letting life happen. Now, for those of you that freak out and you're like, no, I have to make it work. It's all about me. It's all about me. Notice that insecurity. Notice that evaluation. Notice what you're choosing, because the truth is that when we come from our clarity and we come from our wisdom, life happens for us in ways that are so much better than you and I could come up with our small minds. Directions open up, and this is just the beginning for these ladies. Like, for those of you that are interested, these ladies have done some private with me and they're currently in my group program, which is a 6-month program, and exploration together. Like, these women have simply taken the initial step to saying there's got to be a simpler way. I'm making it complicated. and this is what's unfolding. So I love that, Margaret. And I also love that you're about to host a new workshop, another workshop soon. So best of both worlds, working as a coach in an environment where you're getting a salary, and working as a coach out in the world with clients. Brilliant. What is your web, darling, if you want to share it, just in case people want to get in touch?
Yeah, thank you, Grace. My website is goddessinthecity.com.
Oh, I love that. I should have remembered that one. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think we'll stop there, ladies and gents. I'm just bringing back the video to spotlight me, hopefully. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I don't regularly do webinars, but it's something that we'll look to in the future. It's usually the type of exploration that we keep for our group program. But I certainly love being here and being able to share with this direction. And if it appeals to you, like I said, take advantage now. If you want clarity now, not later. And be in touch, grace@citygirlconfidence.com. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, and thank you for being here. We'll talk soon. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.